If you are kind, listen closely. What you believe about goodness is a lie. You have been taught that being nice, being moral, being fair will protect you, that it will bring rewards, that the world will recognize your heart. But this is false. Every day, your kindness is tested, exploited, and punished. And most of the time, you do not notice. The world is not just cruel. It is calculated. It measures weakness. It smells naivety. And the kindest among us carry invisible labels, targets. Predators read empathy like a map. They know exactly where to push. Every smile, every favor, every moment of trust becomes an invitation. You may think that by being good, you are safe. But safety is not granted to the pure. Safety belongs to the capable, the strategic, the coldly aware. To survive, you must accept that morality does not equal protection. That virtue is often invisible to the world, while weakness is visible to all. You have been trained to believe in fairness. The world does not operate on fairness. It operates on power, influence, and consequence. Your intentions, however noble, are irrelevant. The outcome is all that matters. And every time you overgive, overtrust, or overcare, you pay a price. You are about to see that being too good is dangerous. That kindness without control can destroy you. That the cost of a pure heart is often your own power, your own respect, your own freedom. This is not theory. This is life. And it is cold, silent, and inevitable. The pages of history, the dynamics of modern life, and the invisible laws of human behavior all point to one truth: being good is not enough. If you do not learn to balance kindness with strength, the world will consume you. By the end of this video, you will understand why good people lose. You will see how naivety, moral idealism, and unchecked empathy leave a trail for others to exploit. You will understand the rules that govern those who survive and those who fall. And if you listen carefully, you will discover a way to be kind without being weak, to give without being drained, to care without being consumed. But first, you must see the truth. And the truth is dark. The kind are rarely rewarded. They are quietly diminished. They are ignored, overlooked, and often betrayed. And this is not injustice. This is reality. The price of being too good is higher than you ever imagined. Kindness is celebrated, praised, and rewarded in stories, in books, in speeches. From childhood, we are taught that being good will bring respect, love, and safety. That a pure heart is a shield against misfortune. That honesty and generosity are paths to success. But the world does not operate on lessons taught in classrooms. The world operates on reality, on action, on consequence. And in reality, kindness often masks weakness. The illusion of virtue begins with belief. Belief that fairness is universal, that people will return favors, that trust is reciprocated. Good people think in terms of justice. They expect recognition. They expect gratitude. They expect a world that mirrors their morality. They expect life to reward them because they deserve it. This expectation is dangerous. It blinds the kind to subtle patterns. When you are generous, you think others will match your generosity. When you forgive, you think they understand the value of mercy. When you help without condition, you assume the same will happen in return. But reality does not honor assumptions. It honors outcomes. And those who are unkind, ruthless, or strategic have an advantage. Every act of kindness can be observed. Every favor can be recorded. Every vulnerability can be mapped. A good person leaves a trail. They signal where they can be pushed. They announce their limits through trust and care. They make themselves predictable. They make themselves readable. And predators, opportunists, and manipulators are reading. Always reading. Always calculating. Consider the workplace. The kind employee stays late, covers for others, avoids confrontation. They are liked on the surface, praised subtly. Yet promotions, recognition, and respect are often given to those who assert themselves. The silent, relentless overgiving of the good worker is rarely noticed. It is taken for granted. Meanwhile, those who withhold, who negotiate, who manipulate, rise faster. They exploit the rules the kind never question. In personal relationships, the same truth applies. A generous friend, partner, or family member offers support, forgiveness, and understanding. Yet these acts are not always returned. Instead, they invite exploitation. People who sense unconditional care may push boundaries. They may take more than they give. The kind person remains loyal, believing in fairness while the other takes advantage. Over time, resentment can grow. Ironically, the kindness that was meant to create bonds can invite betrayal. History echoes this lesson. Leaders who were idealistic, who trusted loyalty over strategy, were often undermined. Nations that acted on moral principle alone faced enemies who did not. Individuals who lived by virtue in a competitive environment were outmaneuvered by those who understood human nature without illusions. Machiavelli observed this centuries ago. He warned that the world rewards the capable, not the morally pure. Virtue is irrelevant if it is defenseless. Kindness itself is not the problem. The problem is unawareness. The problem is assuming the world is like you. The problem is expecting reciprocity without enforcement. The world does not pause to acknowledge morality. It moves forward, indifferent to intention, alert only to opportunity and consequence. Good people often confuse moral righteousness with security. They believe being virtuous will protect them. They believe that being fair will ensure fairness in return. They believe being honest will shield them from harm. But these beliefs are illusions. Illusions that invite pain. Illusions that leave them exposed. The more they cling to virtue as a shield, the more vulnerable they become. The kind are often the first to be taken advantage of, the first to be disappointed, the first to be left behind. Society celebrates virtue in theory, but often ignores it in practice. The applause is hollow. The recognition is fleeting. The protection is absent. Kindness without strategy is invisible. It has no weight, no consequence, no power. To survive, one must understand this paradox. Being good does not guarantee safety, respect, or reward. Virtue without awareness is a weakness. The world respects strength. It tolerates cruelty. It exploits innocence. And the more you are admired for goodness, the more you risk being manipulated, used, and discarded. The illusion of virtue is seductive. It lures the good into complacency. It convinces them that intention is enough. That heart alone can defend against strategy. That moral courage is stronger than calculated action. But every day proves the opposite. Every day shows that kindness, without boundaries and without understanding, is a liability. The first step in escaping this trap is clarity. To see virtue for what it is, admirable in thought, but powerless in reality unless paired with awareness, restraint, and strength. Kindness must be recognized for its limitations. It must be measured. It must be applied strategically. Only then can the good survive without being consumed. The world does not reward virtue. It exploits it. And until the kind awaken to this truth, they will continue to lose, quietly and consistently, while those who are cold, calculating, and aware take advantage. Kindness is readable. It is a signal. It tells the world that you can be trusted, that your defenses are soft, that your limits are flexible. The moment you display care, empathy, or generosity, you are exposing a map of your vulnerabilities. And the world notices. Not everyone notices with good intent. Some notice with calculation. Some see opportunity. Some see weakness. The predators are subtle. They do not attack immediately. They test boundaries, probe reactions, and observe responses. They watch how you react when someone asks for help. They see how you behave when someone crosses your line. They learn the pattern of your giving, your tolerance, your forgiveness, and then they exploit it. Always strategically, always invisibly. Being targeted is not a mistake. It is predictable. Every act of kindness, when uncontrolled, becomes a doorway. Open doors invite entry. Every time you forgive without demand, you teach the world that forgiveness can be taken for granted. Every time you overextend, you signal availability. Every time you act without suspicion, you tell others that your trust is purchasable. Manipulators, opportunists, and those who thrive on control are experts at reading these signs. They are aware of human psychology. They understand that empathy creates leverage. That generosity without boundaries invites manipulation. That a person who gives freely can be influenced, persuaded, or burdened without resistance. The kind do not know this. They assume goodwill is universal. They assume fairness exists outside their own mind. In professional environments, this is clear. The kind employee accepts extra work, covers for absent colleagues, and avoids confrontation. The kind manager delegates generously, trusts without verification, and praises freely. Others observe. Some are inspired. Many exploit. They notice patterns. They notice where resistance is weak. They notice who will not retaliate. And they act. Slowly, incrementally, almost imperceptibly. By the time the kind person realizes, the damage is done. In personal relationships, the phenomenon is equally stark. A kind friend will lend money repeatedly, forgive repeated offenses, and put others' needs above their own. This behavior becomes a target. It is predictable. People who lack empathy will exploit it. Lovers who do not share the same moral compass will test limits. Family members will impose demands. Friends will take advantage. The pattern is universal. Kindness draws attention. Weakness draws opportunity. The psychology behind this is simple. Humans naturally seek advantage. We are conditioned to recognize openings, to exploit imbalance, to secure benefit. When someone is too good, too trusting, too generous, they create imbalance. They offer what others desire without demand. They reveal their tolerance. And the world, indifferent and calculating, responds. Even the kind themselves often fail to see the danger. They rationalize behavior. They believe that people will not exploit them. They believe in fairness, loyalty, and reciprocity. They assume morality is universal. This is naive. Human nature is not universal. Morality is selective, and kindness is exploitable. Machiavelli understood this principle long before modern psychology. He warned that humans are not loyal to virtue. They are loyal to interest. They respond to threat, opportunity, and self-gain. They will manipulate, deceive, and dominate where weakness is apparent. By displaying only goodness without awareness, the kind present an open invitation. The world responds predictably. The kind are targeted not because they are unworthy, but because they are visible. Vulnerability is attention. Empathy is a signal. Goodness without strategy is readable, and the world reads it. Every request, every demand, every subtle test of boundaries is guided by observation. People sense where resistance is weak and act accordingly. The kind, without realization, write a manual for exploitation. Boundaries are essential, but the kind rarely enforce them. They confuse discomfort with obligation. They confuse responsibility with duty. They confuse trust with inevitability. And so they are targeted repeatedly. Subtle at first, blatant over time, until they feel trapped. They wonder why this happens. They ask themselves if they are unlucky. But luck has little to do with it. Visibility has everything to do with it. To survive, the kind must recognize the mechanics of targeting. They must understand that not everyone values virtue. That empathy is a tool others will use. That generosity, without discretion, creates risk. That kindness, when unchecked, is a signal, not a shield. They must learn to be unreadable, to control signals, to apply care selectively, and to recognize the predators before it is too late. Being too good invites exploitation. It draws attention. It exposes patterns. It creates opportunities for manipulation. And until the kind become aware, the cycle continues. They are tested, pushed, and used. Their intentions, however pure, are irrelevant. Only awareness, restraint, and strategic action offer protection. Kindness is not a flaw. Naivety is. And being targeted is not an accident. It is the inevitable result of being readable in a world that exploits readability. Understanding this is the first step toward survival. Ignoring it is the first step toward repeated loss. Kind people operate on an unspoken contract. They give, they forgive, they sacrifice, and they expect somewhere deep inside that the world will respond in kind. They assume that good behavior creates a guarantee of fairness. That loyalty will be returned. That honesty will be rewarded. That empathy will be met with understanding. But this contract does not exist. The world does not sign agreements of morality. The expectation is silent, invisible, but powerful. It shapes behavior, governs choices, and dictates sacrifice. Every act of kindness carries with it a hidden assumption that someone else will meet it halfway. And when the world fails to honor this invisible contract, disappointment emerges. Frustration, resentment, even self-blame. The kind person believes they failed, when in fact the world never agreed to the terms. This hidden contract is the trap. It binds the good to belief, hope, and expectation. The more one gives, the more one expects. The more one trusts, the more one assumes reciprocity. But reality ignores these expectations. Humanity responds not to fairness, but to leverage, opportunity, and advantage. And those who rely on invisible promises are exposed. Consider the friend who always offers support. They call, they visit, they lend, they comfort. They believe friendship is a mutual agreement, a two-way street. Yet their generosity is interpreted differently by others. Some appreciate it. Some exploit it. Some expect it. The kind person interprets all behavior through the lens of the hidden contract. When the contract is unfulfilled, they feel betrayed. But the betrayal is not moral. It is merely natural consequence. In professional life, the hidden contract is equally dangerous. The employee who works overtime without complaint assumes that loyalty ensures promotion. The subordinate who accepts abuse from superiors believes it will eventually be rewarded. The manager who forgives mistakes assumes that fairness will be acknowledged. But business, like life, respects performance, strategy, and power, not moral expectation. The hidden contract is ignored. The world only responds to action that is measurable, consequential, and enforceable. The same principle applies to romantic relationships. The kind partner forgives indiscretions, sacrifices needs, and trusts completely. They believe love is a contract honored by the universe. They assume that care guarantees devotion. But relationships, like life, operate on choice, power, and desire. The hidden contract is violated silently. Love is not a ledger. Loyalty is not enforceable. And those who take advantage of the good will continue to do so until boundaries are imposed. The psychology behind this is subtle but consistent. Humans naturally avoid effort unless compelled. They respond to incentives, not morals. They exploit patterns, seek advantage, and test limits. When a kind person acts according to invisible rules, they create leverage for others. They assume that their virtue will guide behavior, while the world follows interest, not ethics. This is the invisible trap, the assumption of reciprocity that never arrives. Even the kind themselves rarely recognize it. They blame themselves. They overanalyze behavior. They internalize disappointment. They ask, why do I keep losing? Why is my kindness unappreciated? The answer is not injustice. It is reality. The hidden contract was never real. The expectations were personal, not universal. And until this truth is accepted, the cycle repeats. Machiavelli recognized this principle centuries ago. He observed that reliance on moral expectation is a vulnerability, that trust, when unchecked, is exploitable. That loyalty, when assumed, is manipulated. He warned that power and awareness must accompany virtue, or the good will be consumed. The hidden contract is a myth for those unwilling to see the world as it is. The kind, in their hope for fairness, underestimate human opportunism. They assume repayment, gratitude, or acknowledgement. They believe morality creates obligation. It does not. People do not owe you anything for your goodness. They do not sign invisible contracts. They do what benefits them. And if your actions benefit them, they will exploit them. If not, they ignore them. Either way, the hidden contract is broken, always. Understanding this is critical. The first step in survival is recognizing that giving does not create obligation. Trust does not create loyalty. Generosity does not create fairness. These are human desires, not guarantees. Once the hidden contract is understood, the kind can stop expecting, stop sacrificing blindly, and start acting strategically. The price of ignoring the hidden contract is repeated loss. The reward of understanding it is control. When the kind abandon the illusion of reciprocity, they gain freedom. They can choose when to give, to whom, and how. They are no longer bound by expectations that do not exist. They begin to operate with clarity, awareness, and power. The hidden contract is the most dangerous trap of all. It is invisible, assumed, and personal. It shapes behavior while granting no protection. Until the kind see that it does not exist, they will continue to be exploited. And until they accept this, their goodness will cost them more than they realize. Good people often believe that morality protects them. They think that being honest, fair, and ethical will prevent harm. They assume that doing the right thing is its own defense. They believe that the world rewards virtue and punishes wrongdoing. But this is a dangerous illusion. Morality is not a shield. It does not stop betrayal. It does not prevent exploitation. It does not guarantee safety. The world does not operate on your conscience. It responds to action, consequence, and power. The honest are often overpowered. The ethical are often outmaneuvered. Those who rely solely on moral behavior expose themselves to manipulation and harm. Good intentions are invisible. They carry no weight. They are irrelevant in the calculus of human behavior. Consider those who trust blindly. They avoid deception, tell the truth, and assume honesty is universal. They believe that lying, cheating, and manipulation will not touch them. Yet the world tests them constantly. Opportunities to exploit honesty are abundant. Every lie, every omission, every act of cunning against them succeeds because they operate under moral assumptions. Even in history, morality has failed to protect. Leaders who trusted virtue over strategy were betrayed. Generous nations were invaded. Ethical individuals were taken advantage of. Outcomes favored those who understood the harsh reality of human nature. Morality is irrelevant if it does not protect power or ensure survival. History does not remember the good for their virtue. It remembers the capable for their results. Machiavelli understood this principle. He warned that morality is not a strategy, that being good without power is weakness, that relying on fairness, loyalty, or honor as defense is a fatal mistake. To survive, the good must acknowledge that the world rewards effectiveness, not intentions. Ethics alone cannot protect. Strategy must accompany morality. Kind people often confuse being right with being safe. They believe that fairness shields them from harm. They think that justice will guard their boundaries. They assume that virtue commands respect. But these are illusions. The world does not respect virtue in isolation. It respects consequence. It respects the ability to enforce, to retaliate, to act. Without these, morality offers no defense. In personal relationships, this failure is clear. The kind partner forgives, trusts, and sacrifices. They believe love and honesty will secure loyalty. They assume that good behavior will prevent betrayal. But relationships do not operate on principle alone. Those without empathy exploit these patterns. They recognize the vulnerability, push boundaries, and take advantage. Moral behavior does not stop harm, it can invite it. In professional life, the same is true. Ethical employees assume integrity ensures job security. Managers believe fairness protects authority. But those who are strategic understand that morality has no enforcement. They exploit loopholes, manipulate situations, and leverage human weakness. The kind, relying on rightness, are often overlooked, ignored, or replaced. Morality cannot defend them. Only awareness and strategy can. Even within yourself, morality can mislead. Good people often overestimate the value of their ethics. They assume the world mirrors their principles. They believe kindness, honesty, and loyalty will be rewarded. But the world is neutral. Morality does not alter outcomes. It is a lens through which the good view themselves, not a shield that protects them. This is not a condemnation of virtue. Morality has value in shaping character, guiding decisions, and maintaining conscience. But if your goal is survival, respect, and influence, morality alone is insufficient. Without strategic understanding, it is a vulnerability. Being right does not prevent harm. Being fair does not prevent betrayal. Being good does not prevent exploitation. The harsh truth is that the world is indifferent to your principles. It responds only to results. Success, influence, and security follow those who act effectively, not ethically. Morality without enforcement leaves you exposed. It leaves you readable. It leaves you vulnerable. It creates patterns that predators and opportunists will exploit. To survive as a kind person, you must accept that morality is not a shield. You must combine virtue with strategy, awareness, and control. You must understand when to act, when to withhold, and when to protect yourself. Ethics without capability is weakness. Morality without awareness is danger. Virtue alone is not enough to survive in a world that does not honor it. The cost of ignoring this truth is repeated loss. Kind people who rely solely on morality are quietly consumed. They are betrayed, exploited, and diminished. The world is indifferent. Only the prepared, the aware, and the capable can navigate without harm. Morality is a compass, not armor. It guides you, but it does not defend you. And until you accept that, being good will continue to cost you more than you realize. Kindness, when unchecked, slowly erodes the self. Overgiving is a silent form of self-destruction. Each favor, each sacrifice, each act of generosity, when unmeasured, chips away at boundaries, respect, and energy. The kind do not see the cost. They believe love, loyalty, or virtue is enough to sustain them. But over time, overgiving leaves only exhaustion and invisibility. The pattern begins subtly. Saying yes once feels harmless. Giving a little extra seems natural. Forgiving a mistake is easy. But when repeated endlessly, without thought or limits, the cumulative effect is destructive. The kind person loses awareness of their own needs. They prioritize others to the point of self-erasure. They forget that restraint is as important as action. Boundaries vanish quietly. The kind overextend, assuming that others will recognize effort, respect limits, and value sacrifice. They rarely enforce consequences. They rarely refuse. They rarely calculate. Their goodwill becomes a habit, an automatic response. And with every act, They reinforce patterns of dependency and expectation. Others grow accustomed to their generosity. They expect it. They rely on it. They assume it is infinite. Emotionally, overgiving drains the kind. The constant giving without reciprocity creates fatigue. Subtle resentment builds. Self-worth becomes tied to service to others. Identity is measured by usefulness, not personal strength. And when gratitude is absent, when recognition is withheld, the kind are left empty. They feel invisible, unvalued, and unprotected. Psychologically, overgiving erodes confidence. The good assume that their worth is externalized in how much they do for others. When their efforts are exploited or ignored, they internalize failure. They blame themselves. They overthink, overanalyze, and question their moral judgment. The more they give, the less they feel powerful. The more they sacrifice, the more fragile they become. In professional environments, this is common. The employee who takes on extra work to help everyone, the manager who forgives mistakes without correction, the team member who never refuses a task, all are vulnerable. Their contributions are expected, their generosity normalized, their limits invisible. Others, seeing no resistance, continue to push boundaries. The overgiver becomes essential yet powerless, admired yet ignored, visible yet irrelevant. In personal life, the consequences are equally severe. The friend who always supports, the partner who sacrifices without demand, the family member who prioritizes others above themselves. These individuals are quietly depleted. Emotional energy is drained, priorities are ignored, and identity fades. Love and loyalty are replaced by fatigue and resentment. Overgiving destroys balance, leaving the kind hollow inside. Machiavelli understood this dynamic in human behavior. He noted that unchecked generosity can weaken authority, invite exploitation, and diminish influence. Power is not built on constant giving, it is built on control, restraint, and strategic generosity. Those who give without measurement create patterns of dependence, not respect. They invite manipulation, not loyalty. They erode their own strength, leaving them exposed to exploitation. Overgiving also attracts predators. Those who sense unlimited availability see opportunity. They test limits. They take without thought. They push until the kind person breaks, complains, or withdraws. And when the inevitable exhaustion arrives, the overgiver is blamed for being weak, for being naive, for not standing firm. The world interprets overgiving as weakness, not virtue. The psychological trap is subtle. The kind overgive to affirm their identity, to maintain self-image, to feel needed. But identity and self-worth tied exclusively to others' reliance is dangerous. When the world fails to appreciate, respect, or reciprocate, the self collapses. Boundaries were never enforced. Limits were never established. The kind person is erased, quietly and efficiently. The solution is awareness and strategy. Giving must be deliberate, not automatic. Generosity must be controlled, not reflexive. Empathy must be measured, not limitless. Kindness must protect, not consume. Only when the good combine awareness with care can overgiving be avoided. Only then does kindness preserve strength instead of eroding it. The self-destruction of overgiving is silent, cumulative, and devastating. It is not dramatic, it is quiet. It is not visible, it is internal. It is not punished by law or morality, It is punished by reality. The kind may be admired superficially, praised subtly, even loved openly. Yet beneath the surface they are weakening, fading, and losing control. Those who understand this principle act differently. They give selectively. They forgive strategically. They help when it serves purpose, protects boundaries, or strengthens position. They do not erase themselves in the process. They are kind, but they are strong. They are generous, but not exploited. They are good, but not weak. Overgiving is a trap of the kind. The more they give, the less they are respected. The more they sacrifice, the more they are used. The more they forgive, the more they are tested. And until they learn to combine kindness with strategy, the self-destruction continues. The world does not respect goodness. It tolerates it. It observes it. But it respects power, consequence, and control. Love, kindness, and virtue inspire warmth, but rarely compliance. Respect, true respect, emerges from fear, capability, and the ability to act decisively. The kind are admired. They are liked. But they are rarely feared, and without fear, respect is fragile. Fear is a signal. It commands attention, signals boundaries, and deters exploitation. A person who is capable of harm, who can enforce limits, who will respond to transgression, creates structure. Others hesitate before crossing lines. Respect follows action, not intention. Goodness alone cannot enforce boundaries. Without consequences, the kind are tested endlessly. Kind people misunderstand this principle. They believe that love, fairness, or goodwill will create respect. They assume that kindness is inherently authoritative. They confuse admiration for influence. They assume that being nice is equivalent to being untouchable. The result is predictable, boundaries are crossed, favors are taken, and generosity is exploited. The world is indifferent to their intent. In professional environments, fear enforces structure. A manager who sets clear limits, enforces rules, and applies consequences earns respect. A colleague who stands firm, speaks decisively, and acts strategically is noticed. Meanwhile, the kind who avoid conflict, forgive endlessly, and overgive are tested. Their generosity invites exploitation. Their leniency invites encroachment. Their morality is seen as weakness. Respect is not granted for goodness. It is earned through action. In personal relationships, the same dynamic is evident. A partner who will act decisively when boundaries are crossed commands respect. A friend who will not tolerate abuse or manipulation is valued differently. The kind partner who forgives repeatedly, sacrifices endlessly, and avoids confrontation risks losing influence. Their intentions are noble, but their power is absent. The world recognizes capability, not virtue. The psychology is simple. Humans respond to consequences. They respect those who can act decisively. They fear those who can retaliate. They admire those who give, but they obey those who enforce. Without consequence, morality is invisible. Without capability, kindness is unreadable as authority. Respect is not a product of intention, it is a product of enforceable strength. Machiavelli emphasized this principle. He warned that love without fear is insufficient, that goodwill alone does not command loyalty. That authority must be backed by the capacity for action. Those who rely solely on virtue are admired, but they are not followed. They are not obeyed. They are not respected in the way necessary to survive, influence, or protect themselves. The kind often resist this truth. They see fear as harsh, unnecessary, even cruel. They confuse intimidation with morality. They resist enforcing boundaries, believing that goodwill alone should protect them. But the world does not honor ideals. It tests patterns. It pushes limits. And the good, when unwilling to respond decisively, are continuously tested, probed, and exploited. Even subtle fear commands respect. A glance, a tone, a boundary firmly enforced, all signal that exploitation will carry cost. Fear does not require cruelty, it requires clarity and consistency. The kind who avoid such signals leave themselves exposed. They overgive, overtrust, and overforgive, demonstrating that consequences are absent. The result is exploitation, repeated testing, and gradual erosion of influence. Respect and fear are intertwined. The world follows those who can act, those who can impose consequence, those who maintain control. Admiration alone cannot protect the kind from harm, betrayal, or exploitation. The world tolerates goodness, but only responds to power. Without the capacity to enforce, the kind remain exposed. Understanding this principle is crucial for survival. Kindness can coexist with strength, but only if boundaries are firm, consequences are real, and capability is present. Without these, goodness is passive. Without these, kindness invites testing. Without these, virtue becomes a vulnerability. The world respects the feared because fear is reliable. Fear signals boundaries. Fear commands attention. Fear deters exploitation. Love, kindness, and virtue may inspire desire or admiration, but they cannot enforce behavior. The kind, without fear or consequence, are left at the mercy of others' choices. Their generosity becomes predictable, their patience exploitable, and their power invisible. True respect is earned through strength, not warmth. The good can be loved, admired, even celebrated. But without the capacity to act decisively, without consequence, they are invisible in terms of influence. The world tolerates goodness. It obeys strength. Those who do not understand this remain targets. Those who do understand it gain control, authority, and lasting respect. Kindness without control is weakness. Controlled kindness is strength. The difference lies in awareness, boundaries, and strategy. To survive in a world that exploits the good, the kind must transform. They must learn to give selectively, trust cautiously, and act with intention. This transformation is not betrayal of virtue, it is mastery over it. The first step is awareness. The kind must recognize patterns, predict responses, and understand consequences. They must see that their natural generosity can be exploited. They must observe how others react to their care, how boundaries are tested, and how trust is manipulated. Awareness is the foundation of control. Without it, kindness remains dangerous. Next comes discipline. Controlled kindness requires restraint. Not every request demands fulfillment. Not every favor requires action. Not every offense requires forgiveness. The kind must learn to say no, to withhold, to protect their energy, and to prioritize themselves. Restraint transforms, giving from weakness into power. It signals boundaries without cruelty, and it commands respect without fear. Selective empathy is essential. The kind must invest emotional energy strategically. They must discern who is worthy of care, loyalty, and trust. They must understand which relationships require investment and which require detachment. Not all deserving actions should be undertaken. Not all causes merit sacrifice. Controlled kindness is about impact, not impulse. Strategic generosity becomes a tool, not a liability. The kind can still give, support, and forgive, but now with intention. Every act of care is measured, every favor calculated. This does not make them cold, it makes them effective. The world will still test limits, but now the kind have boundaries, predictability in strength, and leverage in action. Controlled kindness balances morality with survival. Trust is transformed into selective investment. The kind no longer offer unconditional trust. They evaluate motives, observe patterns, and act according to judgment. Suspicion becomes a protective tool. Awareness and strategy replace naivety. Trust is no longer a blind act. It is a decision informed by observation, intelligence, and experience. Boundaries are reinforced. The kind must make limits visible and enforceable. Saying no becomes a tool of self-preservation. Refusing exploitation becomes an act of power. Every boundary set and enforced communicates control, signaling to the world that kindness has structure. Respect follows clarity, not warmth alone. Controlled kindness also involves calculated withdrawal. Sometimes the strongest act is stepping back. Overgiving must stop. Exploitation must be deterred. Emotional and practical resources must be preserved. The kind must understand that withdrawal is not cruelty, it is preservation. By choosing when to act and when not to, they regain authority over themselves and their environment. This transformation is psychological. The kind move from reactive to deliberate, from passive to active, from naive to aware. They understand the mechanics of human behavior. They observe, anticipate, and respond strategically. Kindness becomes armor, not vulnerability. Compassion becomes leverage, not weakness. Generosity is a tool, not a trap. Machiavelli would recognize this principle. Virtue alone cannot protect. Awareness and strategy are essential. Controlled kindness is virtue with power. It is moral behavior amplified by intelligence. It allows the good to act ethically without being destroyed. It ensures that generosity is rewarded, not exploited. It allows kindness to coexist with survival, respect, and influence. Controlled kindness also restores self-worth. By giving selectively, enforcing boundaries, and acting deliberately, the kind reclaim autonomy. They are no longer defined by others' exploitation or need. Their value is no longer tied to overgiving. They understand their power, and their morality becomes a conscious choice, not an automatic vulnerability. Finally, controlled kindness builds resilience. The kind learn to navigate the world without naivety. They maintain empathy without being depleted. They preserve virtue while gaining authority. They transform from predictable targets into deliberate actors. The world may still test them, but now tests are met with strategy, foresight, and consequence. The transformation from naive goodness to controlled kindness is not easy. It requires honesty, discipline, and courage. It demands that the kind confront uncomfortable truths about human behavior, morality, and consequence. But the reward is immense. The ability to remain good yet strong, moral yet protected, kind yet respected. In this way, kindness ceases to be a liability. It becomes a conscious strength. It is no longer something that destroys or diminishes, but something that empowers. Controlled kindness is the bridge between virtue and survival, between morality and strategy, between being good and not losing. Being too good comes with a price. Every act of unmeasured kindness, every sacrifice without strategy, every boundary left unenforced carries a cost. It is invisible, silent, and cumulative. It drains energy, diminishes authority, and erodes respect. The kind pay in ways that are rarely acknowledged, lost opportunities, manipulated trust, and repeated disappointment. The world does not recognize moral effort, it only reacts to consequence. For the kind, this truth is difficult to accept. They have been taught that virtue is protective. They believe morality ensures fairness. They assume kindness commands loyalty. But reality does not honor these assumptions. The kind must face the uncomfortable truth. Without awareness, control, and strategy, goodness alone is not enough. The price is clear, and it is high. Every day, the world tests the kind. Subtle manipulations, repeated demands, and silent exploitation all target those who give without measure. The kind are predictable. They are visible. Their generosity, forgiveness, and trust are signals. Each act communicates availability. Each assumption communicates vulnerability. And the world responds, relentlessly, methodically, inevitably. The cost is not always immediate. It accumulates quietly. Boundaries dissolve, energy fades, and respect erodes. Over time, the kind become invisible in influence, depleted in spirit, and weakened in position. Their morality, once a source of pride, becomes a vulnerability. The world tolerates their goodness, but exploits it. The price is paid in small increments until one day the kind realizes they have lost more than they ever intended. This is the moment of decision. The kind must choose, continue sacrificing without strategy, and pay the price repeatedly, or transform. Transformation requires awareness, discipline, and selective action. It requires controlled kindness, where generosity is measured, trust is conditional, and boundaries are enforced. It requires understanding human nature, predicting behavior, and acting strategically. Controlled kindness is not betrayal of virtue. It is mastery over it. It allows the good to maintain morality while protecting themselves. It ensures that giving does not destroy, forgiveness does not weaken, and empathy does not invite exploitation. It transforms vulnerability into strength. It turns goodwill into influence. It converts generosity into deliberate power. The decision is simple but profound. Either remain naive and pay the world's price, or evolve and reclaim authority. To remain good without awareness is to accept repeated loss. To act consciously, with morality and strategy combined, is to survive, thrive, and maintain integrity. The choice is stark, and the consequences are visible in every interaction, every relationship, and every opportunity. Those who embrace controlled kindness find balance. They can care without being consumed. They can forgive without being exploited. They can help without erasing themselves. Boundaries are respected, energy is preserved, and influence is maintained. They operate from a position of strength, not naivety. Their morality becomes a tool, their kindness a strategy, and their virtue a shield rather than a vulnerability. Yet, this transformation is not easy. It requires confronting uncomfortable truths about human nature, morality, and consequence. It requires rejecting comforting illusions about fairness and justice. It demands courage to enforce limits, discipline to act selectively, and intelligence to read behavior. The kind must accept that the world does not reward goodness indiscriminately, and that power and awareness are essential companions to virtue. The cost of ignoring this lesson is ongoing loss. Opportunities are missed. Trust is exploited. Respect is withheld. Boundaries are crossed. Energy is drained. The kind are tested repeatedly, and every failure reinforces the price of being too good. Those who do not adapt remain vulnerable, invisible, and expendable, admired for virtue but powerless in consequence. The reward of embracing transformation is profound. The kind maintain their morality while gaining control. They become unreadable yet principled, kind yet strong, empathetic yet strategic. They can navigate relationships, careers, and social dynamics without being consumed. The price is acknowledged, but no longer paid unconsciously. Awareness replaces naivety. Strategy replaces exploitation. Controlled kindness becomes their path to survival, respect, and influence. In the end, the choice belongs to you. To continue as you are is to accept the invisible toll of unmeasured goodness. To evolve is to master morality, to give with purpose, and to act with strength. Every decision, every interaction, every act of care carries consequence. The world does not reward the good automatically. It respects the capable, the aware, and the disciplined. The price of being too good is clear, but the path forward is also clear. Recognize the patterns, measure your kindness, enforce boundaries, and act strategically. Only then does virtue become power, morality become armor, and kindness become a tool for influence, rather than a trap for exploitation. The world will continue to test you, challenge you, and attempt to exploit your goodness. But now, equipped with awareness, strategy, and controlled kindness, you hold the choice. You may remain a victim of your virtue, or you may rise as a good person who survives, respected, influential, and unbroken. The decision is yours. The price is paid only if you ignore the truth. Choose wisely.